The anime begins in a city under attack by a group of dark monsters known as the Fizzies. The Fizzies monster destroyed all the buildings in the center of the city, hunting down the residents and killing them one by one. This situation clearly frightened everyone who survived, including a teenage boy named Nemo, running around the side of the city building to hide from the monsters. After successfully sneaking out of the city streets, Nemo then hides in the station to wait for the train to arrive so he can escape from that place. Unfortunately, a Fizzies monster suddenly appeared at the station, so he had to run and hide to save himself. Not long after, a train carrying two teenage girls came to the station where Nemo was hiding. One of the girls in the train jumped out and immediately attacked the Fizzies monster that was about to attack Nemo using the power of a magic weapon. Knowing that the number of Fizzies monsters was increasing, the girl released a lightning elemental power that could destroy and burn all the Fizzies monsters in the city. After that, she took out a magic axe that could increase attack power and speed to eliminate and kill all the monsters. After successfully rescuing Nemo and bringing him into the train, the girl tells him that 5 major cities have been attacked and destroyed by the monsters of darkness. Nemo then says that he knows that the power used by the girl to defeat the monsters is the power of the ancestral heroes who pass down the recapped magic power to the chosen people or their descendants, who are called the successors. The girl who called herself Faria confirmed Nemo's words and said she came from the Grandseed Hero Academy. Nemo then admitted that he could know all that because he was also one of the new students there. Shortly after, an enormous Fizzies monster suddenly crashed and attacked the train Faria and Nemo were traveling in until their train went off the track, and they were thrown out of the train. Before the Fizzies monster had the chance to attack them, Faria had already gotten up and resisted the monster's attack. After she cleaves the monster's body using her weapon, its body instantly regenerates and returns to its original state. Seeing this, she tried to keep attacking but struggled as the monster's tentacles grew more powerful. After that, Faria decided to make protective magic and asked Nemo to immediately go save himself while she tried to withstand all the monster's attacks. But he didn't want to leave her alone until finally, he was suddenly ignited into another world by a card that magically appeared. In that other world, Nemo meets a goddess named Ceres, who offers him power on the condition that he must sacrifice something he has. He accepts the offer and proposes his life as a sacrifice to get that power because he has nothing else but his own life. Shortly after, a young man came up to Nemo and said their sacred duty was to save other people, indicating that he had entered into a contract with that man. After gaining power, Nemo immediately helped Faria and attacked the Fizzies monster with a weapon that fused with his right arm. She looks surprised to see this, but her heroine, Eunomia, calms her by saying that Nemo is their ally and his hero is a good hero. After that, Nemo and Faria fought the monster together by aligning their strength with the heroes they had. He also started the attack by piercing the monster's eye while she split the monster's body into several pieces so that the monster was annihilated. The next day, Nemo, Faria, and another girl named Ellen finally arrived at the Grandseed Academy, where Faria turned out to be the student council president. Not long after, a teenage boy named Joe came with the body of the dragon Fizzies which he had frozen using his strength. He claimed to have defeated the Fizzies dragon alone with his special power named Smoldering Ice which came from a hero named Spike. After that, Faria invited Nemo to a meeting room for the 7 Knights Student Association, where the association only chose talented students with special powers as their members. Faria is the chairman of the 7 Knights Association, which currently has 6 members: Joe, Ellen, Gildan, Shirley, Gareth, and Faria. Faria suddenly announced that Nemo would be appointed as the 7th member of the 7 Knights Association because he was considered to have extraordinary potential and strength. Hearing this, several members of the 7 Knights immediately rejected her decision because a new student like Nemo still didn't have the experience and strength needed to become a member of the 7 Knights. Faria then explained that Nemo had entered into a contract with a hero without undergoing any training at all. The rest of the 7 Knights also looked surprised because one had to train hard for a long time to be able to form a contract with a hero. Moreover, Nemo didn't know the hero who contracted with him. Fortunately, Faria managed to convince the other 7 Knights members by saying that Eunomia had trusted him as a member of the 7 Knights. Hence, they agreed with her decision. After that, Joe took Nemo around the academy, while explaining that the 7 Knights Association has existed since ancient mythological times, and every successor chosen to become a member of the 7 Knights must continue the struggle of their ancestors by protecting this world from the attacks of dark monsters. At the same time, a woman named Sophie Tia appears and says that she has discovered that Nemo has entered into a contract with a hero without training. Sophie Tia, an academy librarian, said each successor has a different way of meeting and contracting with their heroes according to their respective destinies. After exploring the academy all day, in the afternoon, Nemo was escorted to a special academy dormitory, which would be the place where he lived with Faria and Ellen, because they were special students who could establish cons outside the academy library. The next day, after attending a lesson on the history of heroes, Nemo meets Gareth, asking him to help deliver a chemical potion to the chemistry laboratory. It turns out that Gareth avoids the chemistry lab because the chemistry lab guard is a girl named Claire who really idolizes him. Shortly after, the academy building suddenly shook because the dragon Fizzies, previously captured by Joe, had escaped and attacked the academy. He immediately attacked the Fizzies dragon with his special power before the dragon caused more damage to the academy. After seeing Joe struggling to defeat the dragon, Nemo immediately helped him by using the power of succession to bind the dragon so that he could freeze the dragon and kill dragon with his smoldering ice power. Since that battle, the rest of the 7 knights began to realize and acknowledge Nemo's greatness and potential. A few days later, Nemo and the rest of the 7 knights are assigned to go to a city that is being attacked by dark monsters to save the residents. The guards of the Imperial Academy enlist the help of all the members of the 7 knights to defeat the monsters of darkness that have destroyed their city and steal the giant silver hourglass. Shortly after that, all the 7 knights members appeared and began to attack the monsters using their respective strengths. Joe and Nemo cooperate by combining their powers as before so that they can destroy the monsters faster. After a fierce battle, Faria annihilated all the remaining monsters using her lightning power. They could finally save the residents and eradicate all the dark monsters that attacked the city. The next day, Nemo goes to the academy library to find out the identity and background of the hero who has a contract with him. Sophia helps him search all the books about heroes from various ages to find out the names of the heroes who have a contract with him. But after searching through all the books related to heroes, they still couldn't find any information about the identity or the name of Nemo's hero. At the same time, Gareth is investigating the old library building behind the academy building, which was once led by a male librarian named Genius, who turned out to be a servant of the god of darkness. Then after the betrayal committed by Genius is known, a heroine named Eunomia comes to defeat and kill him, but he is thought to have left a sacred curse hidden in the old library building. In the evening, Claire went to Gareth to give all the files regarding the old library as he had previously asked her. She wants to help him investigating the old library together, but he refuses her offer. The next day, Claire returns to Gareth and says that she will help Gareth investigate the old library on the condition that he must be willing to be her partner to attend the dance party held by the academy. After that, Claire came to the old library building alone to investigate the truth hidden in the old library. She finds a secret room in the library and sees a purple crystal book that emits rays of dark power. When she tried to open the book, something terrible suddenly happened, and she screamed very loudly. In the evening, when the fundraising party was about to start, Claire went to Gareth and said that she couldn't find anything in the old library, but Gareth says he's still willing to be her dance partner, creating the happiest memories in her life. Shortly after they danced together, her body suddenly stiffened, and her face began to turn into crystal, spreading throughout her body until finally, Claire died, and her body was destroyed too. At Claire's funeral, everyone gathers and mourns about her. Nemo, seeing Gareth hiding, decides to approach him and ask him to stop blaming himself for Claire's death. He then said he would find the real cause of her death and asked Nemo to report this to the 7 Knights leader. The next day, Faria was assigned by the elders to take the other members of the 7 Knights to a place called Mount Burga to investigate that place. Recently they discovered that it had become a dungeon facility for Fizzy's monsters to conduct various artificial experiments. They had also performed a power awakening ritual using the power of the silver hourglass they had previously stolen. The ritual was led by the Fizzy's leader named Amis Germain. Hearing that, Faria would form an army to lead the attack on that place with the help of the Academy's fleet of fighter planes. On the day of the attack, Faria and the army of the 7 Knights had prepared themselves around Mount Burgat. Joe and Gildan will lead the combat troops to fight the Fizzy's monsters and search for the room where the power awakening ritual is held. Meanwhile, Faria, Nemo, Ellen, and Shirley will enter the center of the mountain to enter the dungeon. Inside the dungeon, they were confronted by the Fizzy's monsters who were guarding the place and fighting against the monsters. Faria then asked Ellen to keep watch at the place while she, Shirley, and Nemo would look for Ami's whereabouts. But without them knowing, Amis had been watching them secretly. Faria, Nemo, and Shirley arrived at a laboratory room where Amis developed an artificial human, or commonly referred to as homunculus. Shortly after, 3 homunculus people named Reda, Falux, and Catra suddenly appeared and introduced themselves as the people chosen by the great god Nestra, or the god of darkness, to create a new world. The battle between the 3 members of the 7 Knights against the 3 homunculus ensued and was fierce. On the other hand, Joe and Gildan had also fought against the Fizzy's monsters with the help of their troops. Back in the fight between the 7 knights against Homunculus, Nemo and Faria seemed overwhelmed by defeating Retta and Catres because their strength was too great. Fortunately, the members of the 7 knights always fight as a solid team to increase their synergy and strength to defeat the homunculus who fight individually. However, Faulx and Catres become stronger because they use a power called possession, where they use their heroes as tools. They could easily put Faria, Shirley, and Nemo into a corner because their strength had reached its maximum level. Strangely, Faulx and Catres suddenly felt pain because the heroes they had turned out to be attacking their bodies. Shirley used the opportunity to annihilate Catres, but Faulx managed to escape from the place. On the other hand, Gareth, fighting monsters in the old library building, suddenly met Sophie Tia, who appeared and helped him defeat the monsters. Meanwhile, Nemo orders Faria and Shirley to go first and look for Ami's whereabouts while he has a duel fight with Retta. After they leave, Nemo says he will not fight against Retta because he already considers Retta his sibling. It turns out that Nemo is actually a homunculus who also comes from that place, but he decides to run away from the laboratory because he doesn't want to die like other homunculus. He tries to resuscitate Retta and tells him everything Ami's taught is wrong. Nemo, who saw that Retta could communicate with his hero, invited Retta to join him in defeating Ami's. Elsewhere, Faulx comes before Ami's and asks him for help so that he doesn't get killed by the power of possession like Catres. But Ami's cruelly said that he didn't care about the fate of Faulx and immediately killed him. It turns out that Ami's deliberately planned all this and allowed the 7 knights to attack his headquarters so he could lure Nemo, the chosen person of the god of darkness who will change the world. Shortly after, Faria, Shirley, and Nemo arrived at Ami's place. Elsewhere, Joe, Gildan, and their troops have defeated the Fizzy's monsters. They are preparing to deactivate the ritual site by placing a silver hourglass, as Ellen had previously told. Meanwhile, Retta, who had arrived at Ami's place, saw Faulx's lifeless body, felt very angry, and immediately attacked Ami's. But the attack meant nothing to him, and he could easily blow Retta away with one move. Ami's then explains that he intends to sacrifice Nemo in a ritual of awakening the god of darkness so that he can create an ideal world where everyone will be intelligent and strong. On the other hand, Sophie Tia tells Gareth that the old library building does have a dark curse that can kill anyone who tries to find out the truth about the place. But Gareth still hasn't given up because he wants to be able to find the cause of Claire's death so that he can respect the struggle that she has done for him. Return to the dungeon where Ami's has managed to defeat Faria and Shirley and torture Nemo so that he can turn into a child of destruction. Fortunately, Ellen appears and immediately saves Nemo using the power of time control. Ami's tried to attack Ellen, but all of his attacks failed. She immediately destroys the magic ring, which is the source of his power because the ring's power comes from the power of the silver hourglass that he had stolen before. After that, Ellen go back to returning time to its original state so that Nemo could kill Ami's with the power of a cannon called Lega's Breaker. At the same time, Nemo's Lega's Breaker power magically connects to the cursed book in the old library and accidentally reactivates the cursed book. After defeating Ami's, the members of the 7 knights and the troops were finally able to complete their mission this time, and they celebrated their victory together. A few days later, the Academy decided to arrest and imprison Nemo because, based on Sophie Tia's search, the hero who had a contract with Nemo was Genius, someone who was considered to have betrayed the Academy. Gareth came to see Nemo only to blame him for all the chaos at the Academy and to assume he was the cause of Claire's death. He then warns Nemo not to ask Genius for help and fight back, as doing so will only create more chaos. Nemo, who from the start had no intention of hurting anyone, tried to smile and reassure Gareth that he was never involved in Claire's death. He tells Gareth that he used to be a homunculus who was developed in the Fizzy's lab to become a hero's successor. But after he saw that many other homunculus died from a failed experiment, he decided to run away from the place because Nemo didn't want to die like the others. Among the members of the 7 knights, the only people who still trust Nemo are Shirley, Gildan, and Faria, while the other members don't trust him anymore, even Joe. Faria then communicates with Eunomia to ask about what happened in the old library a few years ago because Eunomia was the one who met Genius at that place. Eunomia also brings Faria into the old library to show the cursed book, which is now active again. On the other hand, Gildan tries to help Nemo by taking advantage of his position as a royal prince so that Nemo's execution can later be postponed. After that, in another place, Sophie Tia comes close to Joe who is training alone, while Faria investigates the city where Nemo came from to find out his true identity. Among the ruins of buildings in the city, Faria found a photo of a child who looked very much like Nemo and found a red pendant that was exactly the same as the locket that child used. At the same time, Faria accidentally runs into Retta, and they fight each other, thinking they are still enemies. But they finally stopped fighting and chatted about Nemo and who was behind all this chaos. Meanwhile, the Academy elders are preparing to judge and execute Nemo for his betrayal. Fortunately, Gildan and Shirley arrived just in time with a letter from the kingdom stating that the evidence the Academy had against Nemo was still not strong enough. Shortly after that, Faria also came to show a pendant belonging to the child who had been killed by Nemo so that he could take over the form and identity of the child. Nemo finally admits all the things he did in the past in front of Faria, and he surrenders to being killed by her. But instead of killing him, she decides to understand him and help him to escape from that place. Joe and Gareth also have to fight against other members of the Seven Knights who want to save Nemo. With the help of Reda, who also attacked Joe, Faria and the others could finally take Nemo away from that place by helicopter. After escaping, Faria tells Nemo that Sophia is actually part of Fizzies. She learned the truth from Reda, who had been secretly monitoring and investigating Sophia. Reda then explains to Nemo that one of his powers, Lega's Breaker, has magically activated the curse book in the old library building, so they must find a way to seal the curse. The entire population of the Grantseed Academy began to panic because the curse from the old library building had released the energy of the power of darkness. Gareth, who still thinks that Nemo is the cause of all this, decides to meet Sophia so that he gets more power to kill Nemo. She also implanted dark energy in Gareth's body. On the other hand, Nemo, Faria, and Reda decided to return to Grantseed so they could seal the curse. The other members of the Seven Knights also followed them while Gildan tried to defeat Joe, who had now turned into a monster. When Nemo and Faria arrived at the old library, Eunomia and Genius began to reveal themselves and tell them about what happened years ago. As it turns out, Genius is not actually a traitor but a hero who sacrificed himself to seal the curse of the forces of darkness into the book. Several years ago, Genius and Eunomia fought together against the dark forces of Fizzies. Realizing that the power of darkness is too strong, Genius sacrifices himself to seal all the forces of darkness in a book called the Book of Time. Shortly after that, Sophia suddenly appeared and said she was also there when Genius sealed the Fizzies' power. She is one of the servants of Fizzies who has lived for hundreds of years using various bodies to survive. After that, Sophia approached the Book of Time and began to absorb all the power of darkness that came out of the book into her body. As a result, she turns into a giant monster with a portal of Fizzies' power on her body, and the portal can easily absorb everyone into the dimension of darkness. She also spawned many dark monsters that infiltrated the Grantseed Academy and attacked all the Academy students. Nemo and the rest of the Seven Knights began to fight together to fight Sophia and save the students. Gildan and Joe have also rejoined the fight along with Reda to help the others save the students. Faria and Nemo still find it difficult to approach Sophia because she is protected by a very strong dark power where the dark power can create a deadly crystal curse. Gareth, who was already infected with the crystal curse from Sophia's previous actions, decided to sacrifice himself to break through her defenses so that Faria and Nemo could approach her. When they meet Sophia's real body, they ask why she did all this. Sophia feels that as long as humans live, they will continue to hurt each other. So she decides to eliminate all of humanity and create a new, more ideal world. After realizing that Sophia wouldn't stop this chaos, Nemo and Faria immediately attacked her with their weapons and Faria's lightning power. But the attack still couldn't hit her body, and she became even more aggressive with a stronger counterattack. But after a very fierce battle, Nemo finally defeated Sophia and sealed the portal in her body using the Lega's Breaker power so that she turned back into a normal human form. Sophia, who still has the power of darkness left in her body, again attacks Nemo, but he can anticipate the attack with his homunculus power. During the fight, Nemo was reminded of his past memory where the real Nemo was not killed by Nemo's homunculus but instead sacrificed himself. Nemo does that to save the real Nemo and asks him to live. The memory made Nemo even more excited to fight against Sophia because he had to live to honor all the struggles that the real Nemo had done. As a result, Nemo, with the help of the power of Genius, was finally able to defeat Sophia and reseal all the portals of darkness that existed in that place. A few days later, the Academy's conditions began to run normally, where students worked together to repair the damage caused by the previous battle. The anime closes with a scene where Reda has been accepted as a student of the Grantseed Academy, and Gareth, who has recovered, rejoins the rest of the Seven Knights, while Nemo and Faria will continue their adventure together until the end. This anime teaches us to always try to embrace our friends and fight together until we can achieve our dreams together.